Hashem's protection. And when he became bar mitzvah, the ring was melted down and refashioned into a yad, a pointer for the Torah reader to keep place in the scroll. So Salvo was very blessed in many ways. Blessed with family, blessed with friends, blessed with resilience and strength. The greatest blessings in the family, in life, are family. And Raz, Amy, Larry, and Shanna, Maya, and Zach, and Rona are those blessings. Another great blessing in life is friends, many of whom are here today and who kept him company, who called from around the world to send their love and strength, and who have taken him to his final rest. Salvo and Raz and Larry and Amy came to Canada 24 years ago today, or maybe yesterday, and in that time of raising a family, growing professionally from re-qualifying in accountancy to auditing to coaching to teaching auditors the craft, Salvo's resilience stood out among his many wonderful qualities. The ability to adapt and thrive in a new country, from his birth in the Congo to growing up in South Africa to emigrating to Canada, the ability to meet health challenges face on and with a balance of humor and gravity, and being part of the community all makes his loss the sadder for all of us. Our world seems to have less light in it with his passing, but at the same time his memory illuminates those fine, thoughtful, gentlemanly qualities that so many people have mentioned in the past 24 hours that they so admired. Salvo ascended to the next world on Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of counting the Omer, our Jewish national journey from Egypt to Mount Sinai. He shares this date with the great sage Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, author of the Zohar, who is also mentioned throughout the Mishnah and Talmud. Rabbi Shimon's Hilulah, the date of his passing, is marked around the world with bonfires from Iran, his resting place, across Israel, to Jewish communities around the globe, even to Earl Bay's Park and to Chabad of Markham on Green Lane. Because of us, it's not the loss. Because for us, it's not the loss that we focus upon, as painful as it may be. Rather, it's the life that the person brought in his lifetime. As we say about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, so we can say about our dear friend Salvo, that we expect that the light of his kindness and his friendship and humanity will shine ever brighter. And we say, Tehi Nishmatot Tzura B'Tzor Chaim, may the neshama, the soul of Salvo Hasson, Yeshua ben Eliakim, be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. The second message is from Rosalind Hasson. We love you. All these words are symbolic of the mirrored love, care, and respect and memories that are the true legacy of Salvatore Hasson. What we had was a special love that made us pour through our years together. His pain and suffering are not over, but this legacy will remain in the memories of all who knew him. I would like to thank you all for coming to honor a unique and special human being who can finally rest. In the words of our granddaughter of 3 years old, Maya, my nonu has died, but he is always in my heart. Thank you. After the funeral, I can say that the burial was sad yet heartwarming. What a tribute to Salvo. There was a huge crowd that made a circle around us through the service. There were a few tears, rapt attention to all the contributors to my delivery, tears, laughter, and utter amazement at all the above. A great legacy for all of us to remember, a kind and gentle human being who left an impression on all who knew him. Another message from a colleague. Several years ago at CPAB, we were asked to answer a large number of questions which would result in determining our natural leadership styles. Each style was assigned a color. Red, which was assertive. These individuals felt worthwhile when they are getting concrete results. They have an achievement orientation and are comfortable taking the lead. There were a fair number of reds at CPAB. Green, which is analytic. These individuals are analytical and prize logic and systematic thinking. There were a lot of greens at CPAB. Of the last style, there were only 2 individuals at CPAB. The color was blue. Blue is known as altruistic or nurturing. These individuals felt worthwhile when they are taking care of others or contributing to the growth of welfare of individuals or groups. If other people feel good, they feel good too. Salvo, of course, was blue, and no one needed a test to know that. And another message by Amy Hasson. Yesterday, my best friend was taken away. Although we fought hard times, the love was always there. You were the best dad anyone could ever have hoped for, and I miss you every day, but have all the memories which I cherish forever, and will pass on to Maya and Zach, so they will know who their Nana was. You will never be forgotten, and I love you forever. And another message from Larry Hasson. The beauty about going last is a lot of the background and work is done for me. You've heard a lot about my father, and I just wanted to touch on a couple of small lessons I learned from him that I'll take with me as I progress through my life. 1, do anything for your family, no matter how big or small. 2, do everything you can to support and guide your children. 3, work had been such a huge part of his life that he treated his colleagues like family. My dad would always support us in whatever we did, even if it scared him. And I'm sure I pushed him to the limit with my shenanigans. He made the ultimate sacrifice in appending his nice, stable life and moving to a completely different land in Canada. When he arrived and enrolled in university in South Africa, he didn't know a word of English. When coming to Canada, I'll bet he was relived to be able to use French again. But Samuel, the French here wasn't quite as he remembered it. Some may not know that my father could not swim, and I don't mean he was a bad swimmer. I literally mean he cannot swim. Yet, I was born with gills. So he learned how to judge swim meets and walk back and forth at swim meets inches away from falling in. Back and forth for hours in end, just to watch me swim somewhere between 25 to 30 seconds, maybe twice that day. And true to Salvo's fashion and him being a stickler for the rules, he disqualified me from one of my races. I do still contest that one. Salvo sees all of his work colleagues as family. Over the years, he has managed to mentor, coach, teach, train, and guide countless young colleagues in their journey. All the people he's worked closely with, and even some he would see at the food court and strike up a conversation with, would at some point end up at our dinner table. There was always plenty of room or food for one more person. As a child, I remember so many of these dinners, and he made each person feel like part of the family. He had a way of making everyone feel special and gave a great advice. Dad, I'm going to miss our long, heated discussions and audit mythology, and most of all, going to miss my mentor, coach, and guide. I have big shoes to fill. Another letter from Jacques, Hasson, and the family. This is also as well from Esther, Aleteo, and Claudia Conet, Matty and Ivan and families, Isaac and Melanie Pia, John, Silos, Brian and Vicky, Fensinger, and Daniel Fensinger. Salvo and I were first cousins but grew up as brothers. We lived next door to each other in the Congo and shared everything and every day together. In the 1960s, our parents left the Congo and settled in Cape Town, South Africa, where Salvo and I continued our close relationship. When Salvo's twins were still very young, and I had 4 children myself, we considered immigrating to America together with our families, but this did not materialize. Soon thereafter, Salvo and his family emigrated to Canada, and through distance kept us apart during most of our lives. Our hearts and our bonds remained very connected and were as close as ever, even with me leaving South Africa and settling in Australia 4 years ago. Fortunately, Salvo and Rosalind visited Marilyn and I recently in Sydney, and we all had a special time together, and we were with them in Toronto just last year. Salvo was the best. A mensch, a great guy, warm and amazing son, father, grandfather, relative, and friend, and will always be remembered with great love, affection, and respect by all who were fortunate to have crossed his path. Salvo, rest in peace. My brother, my cousin, my best friend, I will miss you so very much. From Esther, Mateo, and Claudio Cone, dear Roz, Amy, Larry, and family, our eyes filled up with tears as we were saddened to hear of the passing and most devastating loss of our beloved cousin Salvo. Words fail us when we want to express the sadness we carry in our hearts. It is truly with a heavy heart that we write these few words. Whilst the loss of a dear loved one is never easy, it is certainly the hardest and most brutal when they are taken from us too soon. Salvo was a beautiful soul, and he touched the hearts of many. He was like a brother more than a cousin for us from childhood days. We were one family and loved each other as such. Salvo was a charming, heartwarming, and loving person. He had a permanent and the purest smile on his face at all times. Salvo was loved by all who knew him. We would like you to know that you and your entire family are in our constant thoughts and prayers. May God help you find the courage and strength to move forward in peace and confidence, and in knowing that his life was a life well lived. Every time we think of Salvo, the pain is real, but he will always be in our hearts forever, and we will love and miss him forever. May the memories of Salvo bring you strength every day, and may time find a way to heal your loss. May his soul rest in peace. A good heart has stopped beating. A good soul ascended to heaven. Wishing you all long life, Mateo, Esther, and Claudia Cone. For Matthew, Ivans, and families, they say that life is not about the number of breaths you take, but of the moments that take your breath away. I am proud to say that my darling cousin Salvo, who was like a brother to me, had both of that in his 72 years of life. Sal, you were a man of strength and courage until the end, and you were an inspiration to me and all those who knew you. You always had a nice word for everyone, and your endearing smile will be in my heart forever. I will always treasure the beautiful memories of our trip to Cape Town 4 years ago, and will keep you in my mind and heart forever. Rest in peace, darling cousin. From Isaac and Melanie Pia. I remember meeting Salvo for the first time, although he knew me when I was a little kid, when he came to Cape Town after the remaining white Congolese had their assets nationalized. He was a good few years older than me and well established already, but needed to use his time productively. His cousin Pauline, who I had met not long before, asked me to meet with him. He was a soft-spoken young man with a witty sense of humor and a hearty laugh. I told him that it was important to have a tertiary education in South Africa, and I suggested he does accounting and get a chartered accounting qualification so he could work and study at the same time. I was surprised when he courageously accepted the challenge. His English was limited, and as I recall, he had to go to university without a solid English, and it wasn't easy for him. We became good friends, and he was one of my pole holders. We double dated with him. He was very keen to find his Bashir, but those we met were not for him. I remember when he visited us in Johannesburg, and we asked if he was seeing anyone, and he beamed, saying he had found his future wife. In due course, we met you and understood his reaction. Salvo was very brave in how he fought the cancer. When he came to Israel 2 years ago, he came to Tel Aviv to see you because he was too tired to come to Jerusalem. I walked ahead with him and asked about the prognosis. He seems fearless, or maybe just accepting of the diagnosis, and he told me that the doctors would not be able to do more if the cancer returned. He seemed at peace with it and just worried about you and the children. He was a caring man, really happy with his lot in life, and to quote the ethics of our fathers, who is a rich man, who is happy with Islam. Melanie added that he was an amazing son, remembering how he cared for his father. I also remember how he spoke lovingly about his late mother, who I did not meet. A message from John Silos in Cape Town. Yesterday, my very dear friend of over 40 years passed away. We first met at the audit firm Schwartz Fine in Cape Town. He had come down from Zaire and could only speak French. Not only did